Okay, so before we looked at what comments are and how to write a good comment here in Python, the first thing we want to do is to make sure that we saved our code. If what we want to practice, we need to save it, remember, and we can easily do this by if you have been following along from the series, you discover that I already have the directory that I've been saving my code. And if you're confused about what I call directory, another name for it is called folder. So I am on Linux, so if you're on Windows, go ahead and use Windows E to open your Explorer, or anyhow you want to open where you want to save your directory or your folder, another name for it. So just go ahead and click as you have seen me, and this way I want to save my code. I already have a folder that I've created. If you're wondering on how you can create a folder, just go ahead and right click. You see new folder, just click on that, create a folder, and once you have a folder like this, I call my folder learning Python. So that is, I want to open this learning Python in my code editor to start see what we are going to learn for today's video. So once you create your folder like that, go ahead and open your code editor. In my own case, I'm using Visual Studio Code. So I right click my own Visual Studio Code from here, then I come to where I have new empty window. I click on new empty window, and immediately I click on new empty window, automatically my Visual Studio Code window opens like this. So what I want to do is immediately I want to open that my folder that I just created, and perhaps the one you created too. So in order for you to open that folder, come to where you have files here, click on that. You'll see where there is an option for open folder here. Click on open folder like this, and select the folder that you just created. In my own case, is I called it learning Python. So I click on OK. So immediately I click on that, automatically that folder has been opened. And just if you have been following along, you'd also notice that these numbers, strings, and variables are the files that we use to store our previous code in the previous video. So but in today's one, we want to look at what comment is. So go ahead and name a new file. So in my own case, I come to where I have this small plus icon. I click on that, and I can call my file whatever name I want to call. But since we want to study comment, my own file name, I call it comment.py. And the reason for this .py extension is because .py stands for it's a Python extension. That is what code editor is going to use and understand that all the code we are going to write inside this comments file, it needs to process them as a Python code. So what are comments in Python? So in my own way of defining comments, I simply says that comments are ways of telling Python to ignore a certain line of code, and you can do this with some following ways, which I am going to show you. For example, if I decide to say a equals to 500, then I say print a. Alright, so I come here and say b equals to 400, then I say print b. Print b like this. So now if I run these two things now, so another thing I want to point out here is before you run your code, always save your work. And there is a shortcut I use often, which is Ctrl-S to save my work. Once you hit on Ctrl-S, you have saved it. But if you want to be very sure whether you have saved or not, when you are typing your code and your work is not saved, if you are using Visual Studio Code, look at this top kind of tab bar that you are seeing here. You see this whitish icon that is displaying at the top side of it, indicating that your code is not saved yet. So once I hit on Ctrl+S, you see that that white icon disappears, simply meaning that all the code inside this my module, inside this my files, I have successfully saved them. So as you have saved it right now, you want to run your code and you want to see the result in the terminal. Remember what print is used for. We already talked about this in all the videos. So print is just basically a way of telling Python I want to see the result in the terminal. So whenever you want to see the result in the terminal, you wrap your code with the print function. Alright, so and in order for us to see the code in the terminal, go ahead and use the shortcut command or control plus A5. So in my own case, control plus A5, but if you're on Mac, I think the command should be the command should be command plus A5. So once you hit on that, automatically your code is going to display on the terminal. As you can see, the first one we have 500 and 400. So just imagine that I want Python to run everything that is inside this my file, but I don't want it to run this code a equals to 500 and print a. We don't need it, so I can go ahead, highlight it, and just comment it out. So how do you comment something? So we have two ways of commenting data out in Python. The very first way is commenting a single line and a double line. So if you want to comment, if you are writing a single line of code like this one that we have here, which is print a, is a single line. If you want to comment this out, go ahead and just add this hash sign at the beginning of the code, which is, I just added a hash here. As you can see, immediately I add hash, my code editor even understand, and it changes the color. It just dim the color, telling me that that code is no more active, that Python is going to ignore, is not going to consider it. So that's exactly how you can comment out a single line of code. So if I want to comment this line out with shortcut that Visual Studio Code gives me, this place that I'm placing my mouse, in fact I can place my mouse anywhere in this line. So what I will simply do there is I hold Control like this, then I automatically just tap on the /. Immediately I click on /. The command is this. Let me just CTRL, that is Control plus, then you hit on /. This is the command for it. So once you hit on Control plus /, immediately, that's the shortcut in Visual Studio Code, immediately you are going to, this command is going to comment out this single line of code here. All right, that is about commenting a single line of code out. So let us look at how to comment out multiple lines of code. So in order for you to comment multiple lines of code, what you simply do there is use the quotation mark in 3 places and open the multiple lines comment, and use quotation mark in 3 places to close the multiple line comment. So in here I can decide to type whatsoever I want to type, like I can say something like good day, you see, then I can say how are you, I say, and I hope you are fine. Okay, so whatsoever I'm typing in here, no matter how the line of code is, no matter how long as all of them are inside this triple quotation mark here that I have opened and closed, Python is going to ignore this file. In fact, if supposing I've wrapped this in a print for you to see, I wrap this in a print line. Let's see, the Python is going to print it out for us. As you can see, Python ignores. Let's see, Python ignores the code inside this our clay. Okay, so hit Control A, Control plus F5, I hit, you can see nothing displays. Why is something not displaying? Because this is a multiple line, this is a way of commenting multiple lines of code out in Python. So once you start 3 triple quotation mark and end in triple quotation mark, automatically Python is going to ignore that lines, no matter how many, even if it's billions and millions of lines, Python is going to ignore all of them. So the shortcut that I use in Visual Studio Code here is Control Shift plus A. So once you hit on Control Shift plus A, automatically the multiple lines of comment comes out. So let me just print that for you. Control plus Shift plus A, this A. All right, so if I want to comment this out first with this command here, with this shortcut Visual Studio Code have given me, just highlight it like this, hold Control plus Shift, then automatically an A. Once I do that, I've been able to, as you can see, I've commented this line out. Okay, so that was a quick one, and that's exactly what I wanted to show you. But the next question now is, what type of comment should you be writing, and when should you be writing comments? The main reason that you are writing a comment in the first place is you want to leave a note, so to just explain what a single line is supposed to do. Or perhaps, as you'll be programming, you write like millions and thousands of lines of code. So there are times that before you finish programming your old software, your old applications, it takes months and sometimes years. And even if you are collaborating, it helps a lot. So it is nice you drop some comments, and comment is supposed to explain basically what a single line of code or what the lines of code are supposed to do in your program. So just in case you leave it for months, years, and even if you are collaborating with other people or companies, someone can get to look at your code, look at the comments, and understand that this is what this line is supposed to do in your code, and trusting and believing very well that it is going to do it whenever they try to use that your same code, or try to use your own file, or try to use your application. So drop a comment whenever you want to leave a note concerning a certain line of code, just in case you return, or just in case another person want to read your code and understand. Another thing I want you to understand is that comments should be meaningful. Always write meaningful comment. Don't just stand up and write comment. Write something that has meaning. If you are defining a variable and you are assigning numbers to those variables, go ahead and just put it down there. If you want to drop a comment that this is the reason you are defining the variable and this is what the variable is supposed to do, and just drop something short and descriptive and just leave. That automatically will help you to go a long way. So that, with that being said, I wanted to drop the quick one on comments here, but our series for Python still continues, and the next one we are going to look at list.